Are you someone who has absolutely no time to get into reading? Is there something going on in your life that is keeping you super busy? Maybe you are a new parent who's having a hard time figuring out how to organize your days. Maybe it's just because you're spending 50 hours at work or studying for a degree or are running a business and this is the last thing you are craving time for. With the rise of technology, there are now more ways to enjoy your favorite books than ever before. So if you're someone who just wants the convenience of a Kindle, or only wants to indulge in the sensory experience of physical books, or only wants the hands-free experience of audiobooks, there is an answer for each type of busy person. In this video, we will discuss the unique benefits of a Kindle, of a physical book, as well as audiobooks, and find the perfect reading style for you. Stick around till the end to see how I incorporate all three types of mediums in my life that you can easily replicate and reap the benefits of all. Let's start with physical books. I actually know some people who are anti-Kindle, and they say that there is this sensory feeling of holding a book and reading a physical book that a Kindle just cannot replace. I get that, I understand that. That's why I have this ever-growing bookshelf in my house. It's actually funny, when my friends come over from the front door, this is a cool little stop before they make it to the couch. Or they stop here before they leave the house and are just putting their jackets on here. I've actually lent some of my books to friends just because they stopped on their way from the couch to the main door. If we don't consider any other point, then this alone is a huge win for physical books over any other medium. I say that because it stopped a non-reader on his way out and stop here and pick a random book. That's a huge win. Physical books are actually amazing conversation pieces among strangers as well. I remember this one time I was in a bookstore where a teenager was with his dad and they were looking at a book cover of Artemis by Andy Weir. Just looking at that, I smiled, and at the same time this dad looked at me and asked me if I have read this book. So I told him that this is going to be an amazing one because it's by the same author who wrote The Martian. Just listening to that, the kid got excited because he had seen the movie and now he was excited about this book. Now, this is a great segue to the biggest con of physical book. When the kid got excited, I told him that he should pick up the book Project Hail Mary, which is by the same author, and he was happy about it. At the same time, his mom walked in and told him to pick a smaller book because they were traveling the next day and they didn't have enough space for it to put it in his bag. So that's the biggest con. They are bulky. Physical books will always have a storage issue. In terms of note-taking, physical books are pretty straightforward. Whatever information you are interested in, you can just highlight them or color code them with different bookmarks. That's all. This you must consider if you're interested in going back to books that you have already read. See, I get it. Even though I'm a huge fan of a Kindle, I really think that there is this aesthetic feeling that comes with physical books. The feeling of when a new book arrives, you open up the package, that fresh smell of the pages. But the biggest advantage is that it is completely away from a digital screen. Even though Kindle's e-ink display is an amazing experience and easy on the eyes, it still cannot beat an actual book, period. But just like the biggest advantage of a physical book is the absence of technological device, the biggest disadvantage is the difficulty of reading in low or no light. It's just impossible. And that's where the Kindle shines. Now, a Kindle has many advantages. I have a Kindle Oasis. It's definitely an overkill. You can get most of these features on a Paperwhite edition too. I love this thing so much that I would say it's hands down the best investment I've made in my life. It's a little weird to start with the con, but the biggest con of a Kindle is that right out of the gate, it's a little expensive. It's especially expensive for a new one. But there are ways around this too. You can go on Facebook Marketplace and get a 40, 50, 60 bucks if you can keep an eye out. Just get an older version to start with, especially if you're a new reader. My first Kindle was $80 Canadian. If you're okay with that, then it's all pros from here. Prices of Kindle books are surprisingly very similar to physical books, so it should not be a deciding factor. But if we really compare, the prices of Kindle books really drop significantly throughout the year, so we can just wait and watch for those. But on top of that, we can get free books for Kindle. If you're an Amazon Prime member, then you can get a rotating catalog of free books as well. That is very huge for people who don't want to spend much. I also made a 5-part video series where I talk about how to download ebooks for free from different websites and transfer it to your Kindle. You can subscribe to my channel and see those videos. Another advantage of a Kindle is that it is connected to the Amazon Kindle store, which makes the whole process super frictionless. It makes it so easy compared to me ordering physical books online and waiting a day or two for them to show up, or me going to a physical book and looking throughout their catalog. But let's say if we put aside all of these factors, the cost of a Kindle, the cost of physical books, the smell of physical books, public interactions in different bookstores, all of that. If we only consider the medium that allows us to consume more knowledge and read more, then there are two major points that puts Kindle infinitely ahead of physical books. The first one is dark mode. There have been many nights where I just don't fall asleep. So in such cases, I don't have to leave the room. I can just turn the dark mode on my Kindle and read until I fall asleep. It sounds silly, but if you read to fall asleep, then isn't it better if you're already on the bed? If you're away from the bed, it defeats the purpose altogether. And the second major point is the weight. I can carry literally hundreds of books in this little thing. I mean, the counterpoint is, why do you need so many books at once since you're only going to read one at a time? But the benefit is, let's say you're on a flight. So number one, you're not carrying pounds and pounds of books with you. That's not happening. You can just carry a Kindle which easily fits in your pocket. And number two, let's say you have one productivity book you have started to read already, but that's not what you want to read now. Let's say you want to start a thriller or a murder mystery or a courtroom drama that kills your time on this dreadful flight. You can only do that if you have a big collection of books on you. A Kindle can do that. And those are the two main reasons why a Kindle is superior to physical books. In terms of note-taking, Kindle is great as well. You can press and hold and select highlight the text. And you can export it and pair it with an app called Readwise. You can access this app on all your devices to read those highlights. Again, I don't do that, but that's an option for you. And the last medium is audiobooks. Let's say you're one of those people who doesn't give two shits about a dark mode on a Kindle or the aesthetics of a physical books. You don't care about any of these features. If it's just purely about saving time because you have a very limited window of consuming a book, let's say you have a busy work schedule, or if you have a baby at home and the only time you have to read a book is the commute time between your workplace and home, then audiobooks is your answer. There are other platforms, but the one I use is Audible. It is the most popular audiobook service out there. And not only it is the largest collection, but it also has many Amazon originals on it. They have plenty of sales and many books for free that you can take advantage of. I have about 15 books on my Audible. 5 of them were free. You really just need to look out for them. The one major benefit of Audible is the monthly subscription. I pay about $18 Canadian, and that gives me one free book a month. If you don't want any hassles of buying books on a Kindle, or don't want to watch my videos about how to get free books for a Kindle, or don't want to worry about the real estate space that physical books take, then Audible is super convenient for you. Just pay the monthly subscription, get one book for free a month, and watch out for crazy sales and free books. Two features that make Audible superior to every other mediums are, number one, some narrations are done by the author themselves. So if you like Jocko Willink's crispy tone or Matthew McConaughey's southern accent, then you will really enjoy Extreme Ownership and Green Lights.
And commenced the shutdown of Mike's division. He knew it was the right move and was now confident in the decision.
I think I'll write a book. Help the generations with the truth about the past. Who's to say one would agree? Shit, I'm tired.
I have most of Ryan Holiday's books, but I love the way he talks, and that's why I'm gonna buy his books on Audible too, 1 month at a time. And number two, bonus extras. For example, in Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, he discusses and provides in-depth experiences at the end of each chapter.
All I did that was I got a stationary bike, put it in my house, an old cheap Walmart stationary bike.
Another example is Malcolm Gladwell's Talking to Strangers, where he talks about real-life events and different case studies. In the audio version, you can hear the exact audio and people's voices that were surrounding the case study.
Instead, whenever possible, when I quote someone, I'll let you hear their words in their voice.
You just cannot get this on any other medium. I think this feature alone makes Audible superior to every other medium. So these are the ways of consuming knowledge from different mediums. But how do you find time for all of them, or even one of them? Let me show you how I do it. Replicate the whole thing or just pick one strategy out, whatever works for you. Research shows that it's a good habit to walk for about 10 minutes after each meal. You might have heard of that. In that time, I make use of either of these mediums. I either have my headphones on with Audible, or I carry a physical book, or I carry a Kindle and just walk in circles in my house. I mean, you can walk outside too, that's of course better, but it's Canada. I'm not walking outside in this winter. I sometimes skip the post-meal walk just purely out of laziness later in the day, but I have made it a habit for myself to read 10 minutes after my breakfast. If everything else fails, I at least have 10 minutes in the bag. That's 70 minutes of reading per week if you don't use any of my other techniques. The next one is workout time. I really commend parents whose lives are already super busy with their kids and still make time to work out. Kudos to you, I really respect that. But let's take it one step even better. This is going to be a great use of a couple of hours a week. I carry my Kindle when I'm walking on a treadmill or on a stationary bike, but I also keep my headphones with me just to listen to self-development or memoir books on Audible, as they are better with lifting weights. Different genres fit different types of workout. You see what works for you. My commute is anywhere from 3 to 5 hours a week. That's really on the low end. People who live in a crowded city, they spend way more hours on the road on a weekly basis. Or you could be one of those people who use public transportation. In that case, that's even better. You can utilize that time on an Audible book or a physical book or even a Kindle version, whatever works for you. You can read a productive or a self-development type book that really sets an intention for the day. But I understand that those books are useless when you are exhausted and returning home from work. Those books don't work when you are really tired. But that's exactly what fiction books are for. I am very much into murder mysteries, and those are the books that I listen to when I am going home from work. My current read is Their Lost Daughters by Joy Ellis. I would recommend that you pick that up. And I actually finished another one recently called His and Hers. I really recommend that one. Number 4, filling downtimes. These were all dedicated time slots, but this last way I consume books purely through Audible is filling all my downtimes. And yes, the downtime includes making breakfast in the morning or vacuuming around the house, or no joke, sitting on the toilet. Some books are just so gripping that I want to listen to it when I'm on the toilet. If you are a parent and your kid naps throughout the day and you have a list of chores to do before they wake up, then try to pair this up with an audiobook and see how much reading you get done before the end of the week. I lived with my niece until she was 2 years old, and she had this thing on some days where she just wouldn't want to sleep on a bed, or anywhere for that matter. She would only want to sleep on someone's arm while they're walking. So I used to carry her in a baby carrier and just walk around the house with my headphones on. It's just a matter of priorities. It's remarkable what you can achieve when you appreciate these downtimes. So this is how I use my time consuming books throughout the day. You don't have to listen to the radio every time you start your car or always be talking to someone over the phone. Switch it up. You don't have to have a Spotify playlist when you work out. And everyone, literally everyone, sits on the toilet a couple of minutes a day, some more than others. I know everyone is super busy with something or the other. I understand that certain people's lives are busier than others, but try to keep an open mind about this. At least attempt to squeeze in a little time for reading. It will change your life, honestly. I know it changed mine. But in addition, I understand that certain people's lives are super busy with life. They have a lot going on. So they better not be wasting time on crappy books. I get that. But there are ways to get the best out of the book without spending hours on it. Sometimes you can finish a book and get the best out of it in just under 20 minutes. No joke. Using these strategies, I actually read 100 books in the last 2 years. To see how I did that, watch the video that just popped on your screen right now. I'll see you in the next one.